in this gathering with so many people who have had such a long involvement with the Emily Dickinson Museum and the Homestead and all of Jane Wald, you have been much too generous in your credit to me as you have given it today, compared with what the contributions have been from all of the other people who have been named in the process. And in my case, everything is a matter of happenstance, in essence. The good people of Amherst and a considerably larger territory gave me the privilege of serving in the Congress at a particular time, starting in 1991. And from that, I was lucky, simply lucky, to be able to serve on the Appropriations Committee for almost all of my years in the Congress, except for one short period of time when the Democrats were not in the majority, and I got sloughed off the Appropriations Committee for a couple of years and then added back on again when we retook the majority. And also, by my choice, I chose during those years to serve on the Interior Subcommittee of the Appropriations Committee. Now, it was during that time that in the Clinton administration, early in the 90s, that the Save America's Treasures program was created. And as so often happens, this was a program, I'm not even quite sure which year it was, but it was 94 or 5, I think, when the Save America's Treasures was created. And Hillary Clinton was very much interested in this, and of course that was right at the time, 200 years after after George Washington's administration, taken as the long view of his administration having been from 1789 to 1797, as I think that's correct, and the Save America's Treasures was one of those things that she took a great interest in, and as so often happens, a sum of money was appropriated. In those days, we had money to appropriate, and there wasn't somebody always trying to stop the money to do useful and good things. And there were what was called earmarks, another happenstance, and so the first year we had a sum of money which was probably $30 million or something like that to give to good projects that had been carefully vetted, I think, mostly carefully vetted. And as some of you may remember, that in the first year of the Save America's Treasures program, the first and largest, and the one in which Hillary Clinton was very much interested, was for Edith Wharton's Mount, the home, Edith Wharton, out in Berkshire County. She had a number of places around the country that she was interested in, but that was the one in the Northeast that I think was, and it got a huge sum of money. I don't know, some of you may know, I hate to say that, but it's public knowledge, so it got about a $5 million grant that first year. Well, with that as a start for the Save America's Treasures program, within 3 years, because it was at least 3 years later, you finally got your pittance out of the program. It had become so popular, and so many people were asking for grants and so forth, that they went. That was the largest one ever given. The second year, the largest was probably 600,000, and the next year it was about something smaller. And by about the fourth year, we got down to averages that were in the 2 or 250. So 200,000 was what I could do. I would have far prefer to have been able to do considerably more, and would have had it been possible, but that's the happenstance of the way things go when you're doing earmarks. But being on that appropriations subcommittee for the Interior Subcommittee, which was where the Save America's Treasures program lay, sort of in the Park Service programs, along with the Park Service programs. There was a kind of a dotted line program attached to that. Within that program, because I was a member of the Interior Subcommittee, I was able to do at least 10 such programs around my congressional district. Other people who were members, there were only 3 or 4 who took each year that took a close part in that, got that kind of continuous, one after another. Yours was, I was able to give earmarks for that sort of thing to a number of places around my district. But I must say, the one that I'm proudest of is, in fact, the Emily Dickinson earmark, which, as it turns out, earmarks quite often ended up being the first money in, or money that served as an incentive to get people a start, which Jane has, I think, given me credit for, that giving you a start, giving you the impetus to move forward on this, and all the other people who have had the names in it, who were involved earlier or later and continuously, have done so much more and put so much more money into the whole thing that I'm embarrassed that I've been asked to even bother to speak in this august body. But I'm very pleased with what you have done. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing, and sometimes a little couple $100,000 leads to something that's quite big. At other times, and in other instances, it becomes a situation where people have tried and been tired of the process and not quite successful, and then comes along a couple $100,000, and with it the imprint of an American treasure under the Save America's Treasures program that often then gives them a whole new heart to get busy and try again and try more. So I thank you very much for inviting me tonight, and I'm very, very proud of having been able to provide that small beginning at the beginning of the program so that you could get to where you are today. Be well.